Amazon.com. From the man who brought you Van Halen Rising comes Ted Templeman, a platinum producer's life and music, written by Templeman as told to Greg Renoff. Available for only $19.95 at Amazon.com. Order it today.
This is Rock'em Sock'em Diamond David Lee Roth. You're live in front of your naked steaming ears, and you're listening to Dave and Dave Unchained, baby.
Check out the new podcast, The Rock Quarry, your place to hear in-depth interviews with some of rock's most colorful characters, with your host, entertainment journalist David J. Criblay. The Rock Quarry is available for free on Spreaker and iTunes. You can check us out on Facebook at The Rock Quarry Podcast, on Twitter at Rock Quarry Pod, on Instagram at The Rock Quarry Podcast, or email us at therockquarrypodcast@gmail.com.
My brother used to throw drumsticks at me. Move, jump around. I mean, I don't jump up and down, slide on my knees in the studio. I play.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here's my interview with Jake C. Miller from Completely Unchained. He's the best Eddie Van Halen tribute guy there is. He looks like Eddie, he dresses like Eddie, he moves like Eddie, and most importantly, he sounds like Eddie. Here's Jake. How did you first find out about Ed, and what was your initial reaction?
Well, I received a phone call from Gene, and he said, I have something to tell you. And he told me Eddie Van Halen had passed away, and I had to have him say it again. And I said, what? And he said, you know, Eddie died, right? And I pretty much just about collapsed to the floor.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. It was horrible.
Yeah.
It was the worst news I think I ever received in my entire life.
Yeah, I know, man. I know. It's just the worst. Now, what kind of impact do you think this will have on you guys, in the sense that, do you feel like this will increase more interest in Van Halen music? I mean, it seems like people are really, starting to even appreciate Ed even more.
Well, I think our band was doing well prior to this.
Right.
And I think we would have continued to do well had he still been alive. Do I think it's going to escalate it? Yeah, it probably will, because now you don't have a chance to see Van Halen at all. So
Right.
I'm not saying I'm the next best thing to Van Halen, but if you want to see Van Halen music performed live,
right,
your choices are going to have to be to see a tribute band.
Right, yeah, absolutely. And you guys do such an incredible job. So now, have you been touring across the country now?
Certain states are opening,
okay,
and we are targeting those states so that we can get out there and start playing, because it is our livelihood. And
right.
I think the fans are dying to get out and see live music.
Right.
And we played last night in Florida, and it was a sold-out show, and it was the first show for most of the people there since March. So
wow. And was that your first show since Eddie passed?
That was the second one. We played Friday night.
Where'd you play Friday night?
In Florida.
Okay. What was that experience like after he passed, to play the first show after he passed?
The first show was really, really, really hard for me. I didn't go out into the crowd until we came out to play. I was in the green room. I came out and said a little something prior to the show, that we were all here to celebrate the life and the legacy of Eddie Van Halen. And then I went back to the green room, and I was sort of okay. I mean, it was a smaller venue, and everybody was like right in your face. So I was trying not to make eye contact with too many people, because there were a lot of people there to support not just the band, but me and my love for Ed.
Sure.
And share their love and their thoughts and their concerns. And it was a sad show. And I was okay until I started playing Here About It Later. And I just happened to have the exact tone that Eddie did when it comes to that particular song.
Right.
And I started playing it, man, and I just about broke down to tears. It was really, really hard.
What number song was that in the set?
It was far into the set.
Okay.
Right now I'm doing, my solo a little differently, and we're dedicating a lot of things to Eddie. And
how did you alter your show?
Well, one way, instead of going right into Eruption like I normally would, on Friday night, I started out with, the beginning, Live Without a Net guitar solo. He plays 3/16.
Yep.
So I did that, and then I played some of Eruption, then I went into Spanish Fly, and then I finished out Eruption.
Okay.
Last night, I just eliminated Spanish Fly because it was really hot. And
Right.
I was wearing down, and my fingers, I didn't think my fingers were going to make it through it, so I just did 316 and went into Eruption.
Okay.
We're doing a lot of dedications and a lot of, shout-outs to Eddie.
Sure,
during the night
of course.
and stuff.
Of course, I would imagine. Obviously, Eddie meant so much to you, of course. But when did you first start listening to him? At what age?
13.
How did you hear him? What was the circumstance?
I had a best friend that lived around the block, and I would go over to the house and we'd hang out. His brother was a guitar player, and I always heard him noodling, and this one particular day, he was learning Eruption.
Uh-huh.
And I'd never heard it before, and, I heard all those crazy sounds coming out of the guy's room, and I go to knock on the door, and my friend says, no, don't bother my brother, he's going to get mad. And I popped in, and I'm like, what are you doing in here? And all those crazy noises. I'm learning this song from this guy, Van Halen, and I'm trying to figure it out. It's, really hard. It's, cutting edge,
Right.
New innovative guitar thing, and I'm like, I'm a young kid, and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. So not too long after that, I bought a guitar and started taking lessons, and probably about a year later, I was playing Van Halen licks.
So that's great. So now, when did you first see Eddie live?
I saw Eddie live at the Monsters of Rock concert at the Meadowlands with Sammy Hagar.
Oh, in '88, summer of '88. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, that's awesome. And did that blow your mind?
Blew my mind because I was in the same place as Eddie Van Halen. I could close my eyes and see that concert.
Wow.
It was packed.
Hot day.
I was all the way across. It was really hot.
Yeah.
I was all the way across from the stage, so I was on the far ends. I remember the guy next to me had binoculars, so I tapped him on the shoulder. I said, hey, man, can I borrow your binoculars? I held on to those binoculars for about a half an hour, and I wanted them back. He kept tapping me on the shoulder. I'm like, leave me alone, man. I'm watching Eddie play. Because it was my first experience seeing the master perform live.
Right.
I'll never forget it.
That's amazing. Have you ever met Ed?
I never got to meet Eddie.
Oh, man. That's too bad. We know how much Eddie means to you. What would you say he means to just rock guitarists in general?
Well, from what I've been hearing from everyone in my travels, we've all suffered a great loss.
Sure.
I think Eddie Van Halen not only influenced guitar players, but he influenced musicians, he influenced music listeners, he influenced so many people and touched so many lives. It's hard to not say the name Edward Van Halen and someone not know who that is.
Right, exactly.
For me, it wasn't just his influence on my guitar playing. He influenced my life.
Sure.
I lived my life through Eddie Van Halen. I learned from him. I tried to be as humble as he could be.
Right.
And I wanted to share my knowledge and my gift with as many people as I could. And I think that's the way Ed handled himself as well.
Right. Absolutely. It's totally true. Now, obviously, everybody has pointed out how close you play to Ed, but not only that, but your whole look, your body movements on stage, like everything, the whole package. I would imagine that must be a huge compliment to you.
Oh, it is. And I spent a good part of my life working on that.
Yeah.
When I was younger, we had VCR tapes.
Right.
To watch all this stuff. So I had concerts and stuff on VCR tapes, and I would play them and rewind and play them and rewind and play.
Right.
And I would watch from his fingers to his movements and his gestures to the smirk to the smile to every little thing to just try to get it as close as I could. And I wasn't even in a tribute band at this point. That's how much I loved Eddie Van Halen. And when I got asked by my friend Pete to do a Van Halen tribute band, I really honestly didn't think I would ever be able to.
Wow.
Because I never really learned the songs completely. I never really learned all the licks completely. I just took what I liked out of his style and applied it to my own techniques and my own styles. So when it came to joining the band or forming the band, I had to go back and re-listen to everything and relearn everything and take what I knew and my knowledge of it and learn the playing and get the styles down, and then the whole thing just kind of fell into place.
Do you feel more pressure when you play now because he's gone?
This weekend I did.
Yeah.
Because I really hadn't gotten over the shock.
Sure.
Mentally, I wasn't really quite prepared to be on a stage and accepting this new responsibility, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have said that there's going to be pressure on me, or I have to carry a torch or any of this. And then, there's only one Eddie Van Halen, man.
Yeah.
I'm just a guy that happens to like him and sort of look like him and play similarly.
Right.
If I can share that experience with everyone and put a smile on somebody's face, then, I'm going to do it as long as I can.
I know some people who love that spotlight, that being in the middle and causing the hysteria, whatever. Alex pointed this out to me. He said, next time you do a guitar solo, look. And he said, you can slide on your knees or kick your ass or do whatever you want. But the people cheer loudest when you just stand still and play. And that makes me very happy that they appreciate what I do on the guitar, not on my knees.
Need a laugh? Check out the Funny How Comedy Podcast, which focuses on upbeat conversations with legendary comedians. It's free on Spreaker and iTunes. Check us out on Facebook at Funny How Comedy Podcast, on Twitter at Funny How Podcast, on Instagram at Funny How Comedy Podcast, or email us at funnyhowcomedypodcast@gmail.com.
Hey everybody, it's Lance Turner from the Atomic Punks, and you're listening to Dave and Dave Unchained.
Hey folks, I'd like to introduce you to the Classic Rock Album by Album podcast. Welcome to the Classic Rock Album by Album podcast, where no stone is left unturned in the show's epic quest to review and dissect every single rock album ever made. Join self-proclaimed rock authorities Chris Carson and Lee Bowie on their epic journey to uncover the true classics. You can find the Classic Rock Album by Album podcast wherever podcasts can be found, including Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Our website address is classicrockalbumbyalbum.libsyn.com. That's LIBSYN.com. And we can be reached on Facebook at fb.me/Classic Rock Album by Album. See you soon from the Classic Rock Album by Album podcast.
Alex and I and my mom and dad, we're very close family. And I almost play to please them, to give their seal of approval and go, yeah, I like that. That means more to me than 20,000 people in an arena cheering.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have an incredible guest this evening. He is the keyboard player for not only Sons of Apollo and Black Country Communion, but he is an incredible solo artist, Derek Sherinian. Thank you so much, Derek, for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me, guys. How are you?
I appreciate it. To start off the top, that we have just found out, obviously, at this point, that Ed Van Halen passed away. And this is hours before our doing this interview. Derek, we wanted to thank you for continuing coming on tonight. Derek is an incredible artist in and of himself, but he was also heavily inspired by Ed. Just to start off, Derek, I wanted to ask, how did you find out about the news, and what was your instant reaction?
I got a call right away from Zach Wilde. He texted me and then called right away, and it was just this horrible news. And as I'm talking with him, we were on for like an hour or so, and my phone was just blowing up.
Right.
Like popcorn.
Right.
It's really sad. I mean, come on. I mean, we knew he wasn't in the best of health, but I knew it was going to be a really tough day. And so, it hit really hard. And I have to admit, earlier on in the day, I go, fuck, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this podcast tonight. Yeah. But then I thought, you know what, maybe think of it more as a celebration of his life and as a healing process. So of course, that's why I'm here, and I didn't want to cancel. And it's just a real sad day, but I guess it makes me feel closer being able to talk about him. So I'm glad to be here with you guys.
Well, we appreciate you being on.
Yeah, no, we really do appreciate
We do.
that.
And I think it's fitting. Derek is not a guitarist. He's a keyboard player. But let me tell you, this guy plays the keyboards like a guitarist. It's incredible. And I wanted to ask you, it is so clear
that Ed is a very strong inspiration, although you have your own style, of course. But tell us about how you discovered Ed as a young man, and when did that happen, and what kind of impact did that have on you as a musician?
In my neighborhood, there was a bunch of older kids, and they were listening to different music. And I remember one kid was more into rock and roll, and we were listening to like Aerosmith, Queen, UFO, Michael Schenker. Then all of a sudden, this first Van Halen record came out. And I remember hearing Running with the Devil, and it just popped out and sounded different than anything else. Like it was brand new. And then when it went into Eruption, it